Tomorrow is May 1st, and for some, it is also known as May Day or Workers' Day, a day with historical significance for the Communist and Socialist movements. The Catholic Church has delivered several responses to that. The most decisive came back in 1955. And to tell us more about that is Dr. Paul Kengor, professor of political science at Grove City College in Pennsylvania and author of The Devil and Karl Marx. Dr. Kengor, welcome back. Always so great to be with you. Let's talk a little bit more about May Day, its origins, and specifically what the Catholic Church did back in 1955 to address communism and why.
Yeah, good to be with you, Tracy. Yeah, it was really a remarkable move by Pope Pius XII. So the first real kind of May Day, as it's known today in the secular West, as a workers' movement and connected to socialists, went back to May 1st, 1889, and it was done by the International Socialists. It became the International Workers' Day, and the communists immediately appropriated that, exploited it. When the Bolsheviks took over in Russia in 1917, they turned it into kind of their annual high holy day, right? If they had an ideological calendar, that was sort of the sacred feast day, May Day. And to this day, tomorrow, if you check websites of Communist Party USA, the Socialist Workers Party, People's World, they're all celebrating it. There are big marches planned in Los Angeles, different cities around the United States, in the West. And so that had really, really intensified 1910s, 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. And Pope Pius XII responded to that by, on May 1st, 1955, declaring St. Joseph as the patron of workers. And it was really significant there, Tracy, because what he was saying was, look, the ideal model for the worker is not atheistic communism. It's not this strict materialism that denies the supernatural. Really, the ideal image for the worker is St. Joseph, what Pope John Paul II would call the Custos, the guardian of the Redeemer. So kind of elevated the vision of the worker to something beyond just the material in this world, but a higher vision of man, of woman, and of the worker.
We talked about 1955, but I know there's also other examples of when the church kind of took a stand on socialism or communism. What more can you tell us about that, and also why the church is so opposed to those movements?
Yeah, it really went back to 1846 with Pope Pius IX, who published an encyclical that year called Qui Pluribus, which warned how devastating communism and socialism would be. And that extended up through Leo XIII, Pius X, Pius XI, Benedict XV. Pius XI is the one who did Quadragesimo Anno, which said that one cannot be at the same time a socialist and a Catholic. He said the idea of Christian socialism is a contradiction, an oxymoron. So he condemned it in 1931. And again, that's not just communism, but also socialism. And according to Marxist-Leninist theory, socialism is the final transitionary step to communism. And then in 1937, the church under, this was again Pius XI, issued Divini Redemptoris, which referred to communism as a satanic scourge, and said that what the church is battling with socialism and communism is an evil of the spiritual order, not just the economic order. And importantly there, in 1937, for that encyclical, that's when the church first really invoked Joseph in that encyclical. And then Pius XII, who the communists would eventually smear as Hitler's Pope. They created that phrase, that slander of Pius XII, Hitler's Pope. He, on May 1st, 1955, brought it up a notch and said, St. Joseph is the patron of workers. And for every May Day, you should celebrate not the socialist worker, but St. Joseph the worker.
Yeah, now we don't have a lot of time left, but I want to get to this. You wrote an article that was in EWTN's National Catholic Register, and you talked a little bit more, about that when it also noted, when it comes to spiritual order. One of the things you said, which I really loved, you said, quote, look up to Joseph, not down to Marx. Can you quickly talk to us about that?
Well, that's exactly right, and I must say here too that this year is the year of the worker, year of Saint Joseph, that was proclaimed by Pope Francis. And if you read Patris Corde, which translates into a father's heart, Pope Francis as well is making that same point. So yeah, for Catholics, the image here is not to look to the man of Marx, but to look to the man of Saint Joseph, and that's never more so the case. Not just May 1st, 1955, but this year, 2021, which is ironically and quite fittingly, quite poignantly, the year of Saint Joseph.
Well, Dr. Kengor, thank you so much for coming on. I wish we had more time to talk. We'll have to have you back on, but thanks so much for your time. Dr. Paul Kengor, professor of political science at Grove City College and also the author of The Devil and Karl Marx. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tracy.